After the glaringly easy previous bleed run, I figured I should challenge my gaming prowess and do something harder, so for this video I'm gonna beat Elden Ring without using any Crimson healing flasks. I briefly considered doing a full no-hit run, but I decided I didn't want to restart anytime a random enemy bumped shoulders with me. To start putting my build together, I helped Alexander reach his family home, and spent more attempts than I'd like to admit fighting the first boss, the bloody/night enemy, to get the Ash of War for later. I went into Gale Tunnel and Kaled to log the Magma Worm for the Moonveil Katana. It is a strong weapon and has a good range Ash of War, which I figured would be a perfect combo for this run, as I'm not using healing flasks anyway, so I can divert them all to mana restoration, and the extra range should help me dodge bosses. After a couple of attempts, I killed the Magma Worm, which was very annoying, as sometimes I would just die from a seemingly random hitbox, and I did hardly any damage, but after spamming Unsheath, I took it down. I beat up the Cancer-ridden Dragon Mom for some levels, then bought the first 4 Somber Stones for my goat EG. Afterwards, I let myself get kidnapped to steal more smithing stones from Volcano Manor. Now that my weapon was upgraded, I pulled up on Margit and swish cheesed him with the Ash of War. It has crazy poise damage if you hit with the physical blade, so I riposted him and then finished him off with a couple more sword blasts. I ran all the way through Liurnia's Highlands to reach the Erdtree Avatar to get the magic physic tier. Fortunately, despite the tree man's best efforts, I defeated him and his goons hitless. Now that my damage was boosted by 20%, I fought Godric, who proved to be equally easy. The Moonveil diced him and I poise broke him twice. Naturally, first try the dragon roleplayer fell to my LED anime katana. After yet another resounding success, I realized what those of you who have used the Moonveil before probably immediately assume, which is that despite not having any healing, the Moonveil is just so strong, this run still wasn't much of a challenge. So from this point on, the run became more about maxing my Moonveil damage than the original no healing challenge, although I still continued to not use Crimson Flasks. I killed Magmawar Makar in about 30 seconds by poise breaking him, then using the transient moonlight on his head.
Guys, Mordecai and Rigby 3036 SpongeBob 909 here.
The first thing I did once I was in Altus was kill the demi-human queen to get the ritual sword talisman to further boost my damage. I wanted to fight Radon at this point to unlock Celavis's questline for the magic scorpion talisman, so I fought him next. He was significantly harder as he's the first boss I've faced that actually does damage, so not being able to heal was much more of a hindrance. The main strategy I used was just picking good windows to attack, so I wouldn't be punished for using the Ash of War. I also tried to mix in normal attacks to keep up my damage if there wasn't time to restore my FP or use an Ash of War. With these basic strategies, the brain-routed horseman went down.
Oh no!
Now that I had defeated Radon, I could go cave diving into Nokron. I killed Loretta's ghost to start Ronnie's questline, then went underground and got the black knife to unlock Celavis's quest. I ran Celavis's favors, and after helping him make his living dolls for basement use only, he granted me the magic scorpion charm to further increase my Moonveil's damage. Now that I obtained some more upgrades, I went into Altus to take on the Draconic Tree Sentinel. I decided to skip Renala in this run because she has like 80% magic resistance, and I didn't feel like dealing with all that. The Tree Sentinel is actually pretty dangerous, as almost any attack would one-shot me, so I had to make sure I had stamina to roll during any use of the Moonveil's weapon art.
The last thing you want on your Burger King burger is somebody else's Burger King burgers.
However, since I'm very skilled at pressing the Ash of War button, he went down without putting up much of a fight. The next boss on my hit list was Golden Shade. The katana did massive damage and it looked like the fight was in the bag, but after getting a mild concussion it became much more nerve-wracking. At this point I had practically a full glass cannon build with only 18 vigor but around 50 intelligence, which definitely isn't the optimal stat spread, but I felt it would be more in the spirit of the challenge, and dealing damage is the only way to satiate my fried dopamine. Morgoth was the next boss, and his combo attacks always posed a substantial challenge for using Ash of Wars or long attacks, but I was able to sneak in some hits and poise break him thanks to his low stance break stat. For some reason, the Elden Lords blessed me and he didn't bother phase transitioning till I hit him to 2-shot range, so I just finished him off before he could even begin a phase 2 attack. Before bullying Fire Giant, I stopped to kill Shabriri.
I want to take a pic.
to farm ore with a new armor set. I also killed Grail Jr. to complete my massacre of the Grail family in pursuit of a higher economic status. Now that I was ready, I took on Fire Giant, who wasn't much of a threat. As you would expect, he's slow and lumbering, so I had ample time to use the Ash of War. The only real threat in this fight is that it can easily turn into a battle of attrition, but luckily my damage output was enough to easily deplete his health bar. In terms of not having any healing, it didn't change to the fight because I did it hitless, and I'm pretty sure he would have just one-shot me anyway. If it wasn't already obvious, my damage was still really good, so I went straight to the Godskin duo. I absolutely despise them, but luckily for me, the MOONVEIL took down Binge Eater and Anorexia before they could fight back. Without any more upgrades available, I marched on to Malekith, who wasn't much harder. I just outranged him with the Ash of War to avoid getting punished, and after a quick fight he went down hitless, largely thanks to a poise break at the start of the second phase. Gideon was a good boy and he let me practice my targeting skills. Horlu is usually a pretty challenging boss, and in this run he was no exception. Compared to the last few bosses, he has a significantly higher health pool, which makes simply killing him before I can slip up not possible. He also has many fluid combos with his axe and stomps. In the first phase, I was able to roll through his side-to-side swings and attack him unpunished as long as I didn't get too greedy. However, once the second phase came, I struggled, as any of his grab attacks would instantly kill me, so I had to reattempt numerous times. Additionally, I don't really know how to dodge any of his normal attacks in the second phase, and without healing I could only get hit once or twice. But by simply being patient and using an abundance of caution, I was able to bait his grabs and run away, successfully taking him down after a decent number of attempts. The last fight standing in my way was Radagon and Elden Beast. Radagon is honestly pretty frail, so I was able to take him down by getting an early poise break, then finishing him off after the scripted triple slam. I did have to weave through some attacks, but dodging them didn't give me too much issue. Elden Beast was a different animal entirely. He is much tankier and more evasive, so his fight would drag on much longer. I did good damage at the start of the fight when he breathes fire and stands still, but after riposting him, he went into Elden Stars. Elden Stars is the main challenge Elden Beast poses, as at least to my knowledge, there's no good way to dodge it consistently. The adding of Torrent to this fight makes it easier, but I'd still have to tank some damage from the Elden Stars attack, which meant I couldn't get hit at any point beforehand, as with no flasks, I would simply just be too low to survive the attack. After Elden Stars ended though, I simply dodged a few more attacks and finished them off. Before ending the run, I wanted to try and beat Melania.
Smoking that Whoopi Goldberg South Egyptian Fur Burger Deluxe Mega Million Scratcher Skunk Bubba Kush
To see if I could do it without heals. So I begrudgingly fought Commander Nile, who unironically took longer to beat than Elden Beast. He isn't actually very hard, but at the start of the fight, I kept getting hit while trying to kill his Ghost Knights. This likely would have been even worse, except I had begun leveling my vigor at this point in the run. Once I made it to his second phase, the fight was pretty easy as the MOONVEIL's damage was still excellent. The final boss blocking my battle with Melania was Loretta, who I found to be very annoying. Seeing as I had been increasing my vigor, I was able to live 2 to 3 hits depending on what I got hit by. However, Loretta is pretty tanky, especially to magic, so the fight was longer than I would have hoped. However, by baiting her to use the spear then rolling under it into her other side, I was able to consistently hit her and get the win. Melania is notorious for being the hardest boss, and in this run she was no exception. My vigor was now high enough that I could live 2 hits from her, but Waterfowl would always one tap unless I just got grazed by the third wave. However, Melania has an interesting behavior of just pimp walking towards you until you get right next to her, which will trigger an attack. She can also be poised out of many attacks by hitting her, although you have to know which ones they are or else you'll get screwed over by her hyper armor. Luckily for me, the combination of these behaviors means that if you have a good ranged Ash of War or long reaching weapon, you can simply run away and just outrange her, which was the strategy I used. However, if you hit with the physical sword, the Ash of War does about about 30% more damage and triple the poise. So I also tried to bait attacks with no follow-up so I could hit her up close. The strategy worked well for the first phase and the second phase as well. Frustratingly, I couldn't afford to take any extra damage from her rot flower, so I had to wait for it to fully disappear, meaning I could only get one hit in before she recovered from her scarlet flower blast. With some patience though and good RNG in the second phase, I was able to take her down after about 15 attempts. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've been watching them for a while now, you might have noticed a change in the editing, which is because my friend is editing them now. So this channel's like a partner thing. I'm still making the scripts and I'm still recording, but he's just going to be doing the editing. So make sure to leave feedback. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I would also like to hear any challenge suggestions in the comments.